Thanks, Ulf. So, good afternoon, or should I say good evening. I don't know about you, but my first thought when I looked at the program, I said, oh my God, I have a presentation at 4:15 in a session where the people have had a lot of input today. And then I thought like, maybe the organizers of the event, they have the same strategy as me when I eat. I don't know about you, but when I eat, I always keep the best for last. So that's a thought that I thought, okay, maybe I just please myself about that. As I said, a lot of exciting presentations today, and I can imagine networking, a lot of input. So that's what I thought like, maybe we need something to get our minds fresh, right? So, if this works, I'm not sure if it works. Does it work? Okay, it does. I'm looking for the mouse. There we go. So this is just a short video about some new exciting technology that is coming towards us, just as a refresher for the brain.
Yes. Smoothie.
Making smoothie.
Calendar.
No meetings today. Remember, tandläkaren at 9:30.
Fire off.
Fire off.
Open door.
Door open.
Så ska vi sätta en till.
Alright. Open door.
Run voice command.
Open door.
Run voice command.
Open door.
Repeat that.
Open door.
I didn't understand that.
Hey! Open door!
Play on the floor.
Open door! Open door! Open door!
Error.
Area. To the right. Open door.
Okay, now let me reassure, this is not a dental conference, right? Not that I'm getting confused. Okay, now for the serious part. So, company name is CGS, and let me just check if this computer also works with voice command. So, this is the agenda for today. Business paints a color critical production environment. The software that solves some of these problems is called X Gamut. I will talk to you about the return on investment calculator and a software called CXF. Now let's see if the computer also works. Computer, can I have the next slide, please? Well, maybe it's a little box here, but okay. CGS, who are we? Well, the core competence of the company is that it's all about color management. Color management, print stability. What is important is that on these topics, we work manufacturer independent. When it comes to the last item, which is called mock-up proofing, so we also have a software that allows you to create hardware mock-ups of packaging productions. The difference here is that these solutions are coupled with a hardware, like for example, Roland or Epson printers. It doesn't work. CGS, who are we? Well, we are a German company. We are about 80 people, nice men and women around the globe. And that was before I started. So now we are 91 exactly. And I'm in charge for sales in Eastern and Northern Europe. And I have the pleasure, and I'm very proud that I can work with experts, color management experts in different countries. And for example, for Sweden, one of my colleagues is here. It's Mr. Magnus Brolin. Some of you will definitely know him. Yeah. Core competence of the company, we have an ORIP development for color management, and we have patents when it comes to that. Now, let's dive into the topic. I started at CGS about 1 year ago, and I'm not coming from the graphical industry, and I thought like, what is our software doing? What can it solve? So that's when I came up with the notion called business pain. Now, if we look in a production environment for color critical documents, there are some business pains. And I try to list them here. So for example, if it goes to customer satisfaction or money, that's what it's all about, there are some problems that can arise. And for example, the end customer, maybe some of you use a variety of print engines. And all these print engines, they have their own software and their own technical settings in the software. On the other hand, some of these engines, they are unstable due to nature of the engine. Humidity, temperature changes, different inks, different toners, output is unstable. When you get an order, you calculate the optimal price based on the initial order. What is the best machine to process that order? But what about the follow-up orders? Is it still the same engine that is the best choice? Different technologies, ink and toner, and you see the picture gets more and more and more crowded. Customers will ask you for house colors, spot colors. Communication process, brand owners, design agencies, communication agencies, printing houses, ink manufacturers. How do you communicate about the price? Spot colors printing, they require a special set of inks that you have to buy, that you have to manage the stock. Downtime of the machine due to excess ink and toner. Staff is on holiday, the expert is not there. How can you process the job with the regular quality? You name it. Service calls, waste of time and energy, and most of all, you're working with narrow margins. Now, these are business pains, and we can solve them. Now, don't be afraid. We're not going to tackle all of them today. I'm just going to focus on some of them. And this makes the bridge to the solution that we are talking about. So we're talking about how to reproduce spot colors with an extended ink set instead of buying special inks. And we will talk about how to communicate about spot colors in an error-free way. How can we get customer satisfaction? Well, we can allow the customer to make full use of the gamut of the machine. You can make him print CMYK to achieve spot colors, increase the saturation, for example, RGB images, communicate the color correctly, and most of all, avoid to waste time, money, and energy. Always X Gamut, it's the name of the solution. What is Always X Gamut? Well, actually, you extend your color space of the machine you have with this software. And I'm new in the segment, but you probably know that this is not new at all. It has been known in the past under different names: hi-fi printing, 7-color process, N-color printing, nothing new. The main difference is that now it finally works. And this is what I'm going to show you. The applications where this comes to play is mainly in the packaging and label printing. And it can be with different technologies like flexo or digital printing. Also when it comes to large format printing. For example, with high-speed inkjet printing. What is Always X Gamut? Well, just you can read it. It's a fully automatic color management software for extended color printing on digital and conventional presses. And there are two main applications. I'm going to focus today on the first one. It's the reproduction of spot colors using an extended ink palette instead of spot inks. This is the main topic. This is how to visualize, for example. You see the gamut of the different color schemes. And here, I'm not sure if you see a difference, but there should be a difference anyway. How does it work, Always X Gamut? Well, basically, it's a very straightforward process. So if you allow me to start on, whoa, that was the wrong button. On the left-hand side, you have a PDF that includes the CMYK data and the, for example, Pantone separations. That file is processed by the Always X Gamut software. The software will do color conversions, and in this case, we talk about orange, green, violet, which we added to the palette of the machine, and then you print it either on a conventional press or on a digital engine. The same goes for the process on the right-hand side. When you talk about RGB data, How can you increase the saturation of these images? PDF containing RGB data, processed by Always X Gamut, the same process again, and printed on the conventional or the digital engine. How does it work in practice? Again, straightforward process. It is like a wizard. So you first print the custom chart on the engine. We call it make the fingerprint of the machine. Like here, you will measure that in, and based on that data, the software will start making the color conversions. So you have PDF data with Pantone colors processed by Always X Gamut, and comes out the new data reseparated, in this case with green and violet. Concrete example, I was at Man Roland in Germany last week where we had a similar presentation, and they did these kind of test prints. So in this case it was a thin color print, CMYK plus 6 Pantone colors. This is the print chart, where you have here the CMYK test chart, and here you have it for the other colors, the fingerprint of the machine, the color conversion, so CMYK, additional colors, optimization of the spot colors, and as a result you have the same file printed again, in this case CMYK plus green violet. Do you see differences? Yes, you see differences. It would not be normal if you would not see differences. The question is if your end customer can live with these differences or not. And believe me, we are close. We are very close. This is another example where it's on a machine CMYK plus orange, green, and violet. So here we have a PDF file that has 9 Pantone colors, and these are RGB images. So it's a mixture of Pantone colors here and RGB images. And it's processed by the same software. So in this case, we will reseparate the colors to CMYK plus orange, green, and violet. And we do the same process for the RGB. Nice of this application, what I like a lot and what the users like, is that it produces spot color reports. So for example, during the processing, you can already see, for example, delta E values, so that you can see if with the existing extended ink palette, if you will reach certain spot colors or not. It's included in the software. This is an example again, RGB images, where you see after the reseparation, the images are much more saturated. This can be very appealing, for example, for HP Indigo users, where we did these kind of tests. Some of the key features, reproducing spot colors with a fixed ink palette, correction of spot colors, reseparation to the color gamut of your machine. What I like a lot is that it's a simple process. If it's not simple, people will not use it. And actually, I don't like to say it, but you don't have to be a color management expert to use the software, which some people like, which other people might not like. Some other key features. You can also simulate the ink limitation that you will use on the engine where you will do the final print job on. Of course, maximum number of spot colors can be limited, and the application will automatically avoid irrelevant color combinations. Multi-channel profiles, but it can also be custom multicolor charts. So if you are using your own house standards, you can create your own test charts, including your own house standard. We have linked to Pantone libraries, and we support, for example, also CXF data. I will talk about CXF later in the presentation. Now, After you print your job, you also would like to measure if you really achieve the spot colors. And this is the part where there's a quality check included, where after printing you can check if what you printed also achieved the standards that you wanted to achieve. Yeah. It works on basically all devices, printing and channel. These are some examples. Maybe you're using some of these. The bottom line is that there are a lot of machines out there in the market that are not being used to the full extent. Yeah. Example of a return investment calculation. So this was calculated at a Chinese company, very big printing company. They have a Manroland 700 Evolution, and one of the test jobs that we did there, they printed 13 colors. They did it in 2 runs. The first run with 7 colors, then the same job processed in the machine again, 6 colors. Now, as you can imagine, if you do that, you have to clean the machine all the time, so the machine is not ready. You have to use a lot of plates. This costs time and effort. And that customer was so friendly to share some information with us. I blended out maybe some sensitive information, for example, the customers they are working for, and they calculated, for example, here, the total time that they saved for each job. Yeah. And astonishingly, in 6 months' time, they saved about 65,000 euro by using our software. This is the calculation based on the time. Then they did the same kind of calculation based on their ink consumption. So you have here the special inks that they purchased with the weights. I've hidden the prices, and here are the standard color set that they purchased. And also here they had a return on investment of 2,500 euro, but this is not on 6 months. This is for one job, for one customer. What I like about this software is that it actually allows to make a very good return on investment calculation. Yeah. Some examples. So this is the company. They printed for Procter & Gamble with the Manroland engine. So another is a Comexi machine. HP Indigo. Durst. I always like Durst because those who know German, Durst actually means thirst, and these machines really put a lot of ink on the paper. That's why we like them. Yeah. Now this is a special one. This is an HP Indigo at a customer in Rome. Now I have a question for you. Customer in Rome, Italy. Now, there is something on the picture, I call it unbelievable. Now what could that be? Think about Italy, Italians, way of life. No. There. I would never have believed that Italians also eat takeaway pizza. But actually they did. So maybe it was because one of my colleagues was there and he's German, so they thought like, we're not gonna exaggerate too much. Yeah. This is a part on X Gamut. Maybe some information about CXF. Those who might not yet be familiar with CXF. I've heard it a lot, several times during the other presentations during the day. So CXF is a data format, and the way we see it, it's actually a very good solution for the brand owners. So this is a cloud-based solution where it allows to communicate very clearly, without errors and misinterpretation, the colors through the whole production process, from the brand owner to the printing house to the ink manufacturer. We like to illustrate it here with, I think it's a German car. It's not a diesel, so we don't have to be afraid. So what you could do with CXF data, how it works, is you could actually measure a color with a spectrophotometer. You capture the true color. You embed it in the PDF. it's an ink descriptor. So you could actually send that information to the ink manufacturer, and the ink manufacturer will exactly reproduce that color. And this comes to the conclusion of the part of CXF. I hope you see the advantages of using CXF data format, because it allows, through the complete process of printing and designing, to clearly communicate without misinterpretation about the correct color. I tried to keep the presentation a bit shorter because I appreciate that many of you are still there, eyes are still open, well, more or less. So I didn't want to make it too technical. If you have any further questions, either myself or Magnus, we would be very happy to answer any that you might have.
You mentioned about quality control solutions for the final finished print. How is that done specifically?
Would you care to, or? Go ahead. Yep, okay. So, kind of ping pong. So there is a solution called ORIS Certified, where you, actually the print result that you want to achieve a certain standard. So you use a measuring device, sorry for my very basic language. You measure the color, and we calculate the delta E values of that colors compared with the standard.
What measurement device do you use?
Variety, depends on what the color or what the customer used. Can be an X-Rite, I1IO, for example. Konica FD9. More questions? Not all together, otherwise it gets confusing.
So I have a question about the new file formats, the exactly what we're talking about. So how many is using that? What is the statistics? Do you know? How many are actually using that?
Maybe we can have a...
Yes, we can all ask the audience, but in general, we heard about the industry, how many?
No, but I don't see it in our profile.
We've seen it.
Yeah.
Are we actively using it? There are things happening in our industry from time to time, which actually takes a leap in terms of how we keep. Remember PDF, remember ADF, remember all other things. This is an interesting stuff. But we can talk to these guys outside, right? So I think we should make stop. Stretch your legs. There's some candy. So I think you can stay here for the questions. You can take one question. Other than that, rise, stretch, handy, and we'll start here again at 5 o'clock.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.